Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are here for an account review, and you guys might be a little bit surprised, especially considering the fact that this is probably a UID and this is probably a username that you've seen very often before. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we will actually be doing a review of my account, because across the past year and 6 months that this game has been live, well, it's more like 5, I actually haven't done an account review. People don't actually know what half the builds on my units are. I'm constantly getting questions about, oh, what's your shorekeeper looking like? Oh, what's your Changley looking like? What's your Zoni looking like? What are your sequence nodes? People are thinking I have an S6 Zoni. And, well, the reality of the situation is it's time for us to do a bit of a breakdown. But there's also a truth that I have to talk about when it comes to my account reviews. Typically, I do account reviews after somebody gifts subs in my channel. So I went ahead and for this occasion, give to 5 of my own. So we're on the list. I'm moving myself up for obvious reasons. Let's go ahead and let's go ahead and get right on into it. But before we begin, let's talk about today's sponsor, Asphalt Legends. Are you a fan of cars, racing, and perhaps most importantly of all, VTubers? If so, Asphalt Legends' fantastic new collab with HoloLive should be right up your alley. Combining the fast-paced gameplay elements of Asphalt Legends like seamless steering, drifting, and nitro boosts with the community-rich culture of HoloLive, featuring incredible talents like Takanashi Kiara, Kureiji Ollie, Iris, and Narissa Ravencroft. This collab is bringing a lot to the table, like plenty of unique car decals, chibi emotes, custom voice lines from the talents, like this one.
You ready to rev it up? Let's burn the stage and racetrack hot!
And of course, a brand new car. You'll also have plenty of new bundles and season passes in the store. You'll have a ton to enjoy with Asphalt Legends arcade-based gameplay, and the best part about all of it, it's available on all the platforms that you see on the screen, meaning you can play it virtually anywhere with full cross-play. But the fun doesn't end here. To celebrate, the HoloLive girls are co-streaming the game in pairs, with Iris and Narissa having streamed the game on the 16th, and Kiara and Ollie streaming on the 20th, with plenty of redemption codes and races you won't want to miss. Iris is also releasing a special song and MV highlighting Asphalt as well. Make sure you don't miss out on this time-limited event. Download Asphalt Legends using the link in my description or the QR code on screen and get ready to race. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen. So, first things first, we've got to take a look at a couple of the units that are on the account. And we're just going to go through in sequential order from the top down because you know in Augusta, Galbra, there's some of the newest units. We've got every single unit in the game. So, yeah, this might be a bit of a long one. So first things first, looking at the shorekeeper. She's just at 230% ER, a nice 224% crit rate, or crit damage. Only 3.3k HP because I don't feel the need for her healing very often. And when it comes to her echoes, right, we just got a crit damage fallacy and no return. We've got ER Hoot Chief. We got a Spectro damage 3 cost and then 2 HP 1 cost. And I just use her on an R5 variation. I've never felt the need for Stellar Symphony. It just is what it is. I know she has low HP, but I don't need the healing. And you can kind of tell that I don't really need the healing based off the fact that this is what her skill tree looks like. I don't even know why I have a level 7 Resonance Liberation. I don't even know why I have a level 7 Resonance skill. That's what we're looking like over here. So, that's her. Now let's take a look at the IU-No. And I'm going to be honest with you. Her build is absolutely disgusting. We've got her on Moongazer Sigil, her signature. And when it comes to the pieces that she's going to have, she'll have, for her Lady of the Sea, a crit damage with ER, attack, 21%, and a 6.9. Yeah, she's looking pretty good. Oh, and when it comes to the shorekeeper, yeah, her sequence nodes. I forgot, my bad. She's S1. Now, taking a look at the Uno once again. She's got a pretty crazy Lady of the Sea. We got really lucky on this one. It's basically a 5 out of 5. And, well, when it comes to her 3 cost, she's going to have a nice 4 out of 5 on this one. Crit damage, Resonance Liberation, crit rate, and attack. And now, when it comes to the Kara Sword, this is probably the most mid piece of them all. Crit damage, relatively high crit rate, and just ER, and then 2 very, very annoying substats down there. For the 1 cost, another 5 out of 5 for the Nightmare Electro Predator. Crit damage, attack, liberation, and crit rate. And then for our last piece, we actually are missing crit rate over here. This was going to be on Windward Pilgrimage. Attack, Resonance Liberation, crit damage, and ER. The rolls are really, really, really high, so I just went with this one for now. So, yeah, that's what the Uno's looking like. And as you can tell, 83, 275, and then we got a nice 37.9% liberation damage, ladies and gentlemen. So she does actually kind of pop off. Yeah, her substats are pretty damn good. Now let's move on to our Augusta. And this Augusta over here, I can, I think there's some slight optimizations that could be made. We could go for a crit damage forecast, do a little bit of that, but the rest of the stats are looking relatively good. Let's find out how the cookie crumbled. We do have her signature, only 12.1% crit rate. First things first, we got a crit rate, false sovereign. 10.5%, 10.9 heavy attack, flat attack, and of course, 13.8% crit damage. Not that great. For the 3 cost, kind of a min-roll Martin piece over here, but it's got nice attack and heavy attack rolls for a nice 4 out of 5. And this flautist, well, they're going to be out here with a nice 5 out of 5. 10.5%, 9.2, 8.6 attack, and, good crit damage over there. And then the Aero Predator. My Shangly Yao was pretty well built back in the day. We're just going to get another 5 out of 5 over here. And now this is going to be the other Electro Predator that we have. And it's going to be crit damage, crit rate attack. This one's okay. It's not the best. But, I mean, I can't be too unhappy with a character that almost has 3k attack in the character select menu. Now, those are 2 of the most well-built characters that are going to be on this account. Let's go ahead and keep looking at the newest one, Galbra. And, she's okay. Right? She got a nice 2.2k attack, decent crit damage, and the crit rate in combat is around 82. Let's see what the subsets are looking like. Oh, and before I move on to her, S0, S0, also S0. She's going to have her weapon, and let's take a look at this Chorosaurus. So this one's okay. 21% crit, flat attack, and 6.9% crit rate. Kind of wish there were some better rolls over here, but it is what it is, right? That's why some of her crit numbers are so relatively high. Next, we got an Arsinosa. Actually, we're running double fusion via the Flaming Clawprit set. And this one has also high crit damage, crit rate, and ER, and then 2 kind of like dead ones over here. And now we got the fusion damage bonus, Nightmare Saurian. And this guy's got ER, really, really low crit damage, high crit rate though, and then a decent heavy attack damage bonus over there. So not too unhappy about this one. And then this is where it starts getting a little bit suspect, and this is where I still need to grind some more Nightmare Nests. We got the Baby Rostrum over here, a bit of a mineral Martin piece, but it's still a 4 out of 5. And then this guy over here, who's just kind of, he's just a crit and ER stat stick. But the thing is, I already have enough ER, 120 sort of the max for this unit. It's kind of a dead stat from there, so that's more of like a 2 out of 5. So her build is probably one of the most mid ones on the roster for this account. Kind of wish it was better, but we'll get there with time. Nightmare Nest can be a bit of a pain. It takes a while to get a good set most of the time. Now, we've got our other Nightmare Nest character. We've got Flova. And just so you guys know, in combat, she has around 97.8% crit rate. Yeah, she's got around 97.8% crit rate because of the set. So, let's see what her build's looking like. We got just a regular Hikari, a good 4 out of 5. High crit rate, crit damage, attack. Pretty decent. Kind of wish the rolls were better, but I can't complain too much because I got this one fast. When it comes to her Tambourinus, the Havoc damage one, we're going to have Resonant Skill, very high crit damage, but also a really, really low critical rate. But the thing is, Flova doesn't need that many crit rate rolls. And now, we've got a Abyssal Gladius on the Midnight Veil set for the 2-piece. And this was going to give crit rate, crit damage, skill, attack, and then here's our dead ER roll. Yep, the most useless ER roll on my account. For this one over here, the Chest Mimic, we're also going to be on Midnight Veil. Crit rate, crit damage, and attack. Just good overall stats. Kind of wish there was Resonant Skill on here, but not complaining too much. And now, for our Nightmare Glacial Predator. This guy's kind of cooking. Resonant Skill, attack, crit damage, and crit rate. So yeah, this build over here is also pretty high quality. You can see there's been a good amount of care put into the echo farming over here. A good amount of care put into the echo tuning. This guy clearly takes care of his account. Now, let's move on to Lupa. She's also going to be on her signature, just like Flova. Flova's also S0. Lupa's going to be S0. Let's take a look at the build. In the 4 slot, the equip slot, we're going to have a Lioness of Glory. And this one's just going to be a pretty good overall stat stick, a good 3 out of 5, relatively high rolls. Fusion damage bonus over here, very, very high. ER, high crit damage, but no other real offensive stats. But ER is a very important stat on Lupa. You want around 130. Fusion damage bonus over here, attack, ER, crit rate, crit damage, plus a good heavy attack damage bonus over here. That's pretty cool. Wait, I should probably go put this on Galbra. What am I doing? Wait, Oh, I can't because I'm using this fucking Chorosaurus. Never mind. Maybe when we farm a good Remini Thernodian, we can just run double 3 costs. But for now, we're kind of screwed over there. So yeah, that's what the 3 cost is looking like. I'm hoping to be able to put this on Galbra one day after I do some more farming. But that's the nice flexibility that occurs when you have the 3-piece and the 2-piece sets. This 1 cost is also... This is one of the better ones. This is definitely a good one. Solid 4 out of 5. Some could say 5 out of 5 because Lupa actually does deal heavy attack damage. But that's ER, crit damage, crit rate, and then Resonance Liberation. And then over here, crit damage and crit rate really high, and then Resonance Liberation. So yeah, this Lupa's build, not too much, but it's still got a nice combination of stats. Now, let's move on to my Cartithia. And this is the thing. Cartithia builds on my account are super rare. Looking at my Cartithia stats is super rare because I never play this unit. Because I actually don't like playing this unit that much. I think her gameplay's it feels a little bit off for me. But we'll take a look at the build. Crit rate, crit damage, and basic attack. No HP over here. The Kelpie, on the other hand, is going to have basic attack, very high ER, and then crit damage and crit rate, also very high. Felt very lucky rolling this one. And then we're going to have a 1 cost, basic attack, crit damage, crit rate, and a max HP roll, 11.6% by the way. And then over here, HP 10, crit damage, crit rate, and then a flat HP as well. And then for our third HP, 8.6%, 6.9, the last ER roll that we need, and a min-roll Martin crit damage. So, yeah, we're at 50.1k, basically 51k. HP over here. If your Cartithia isn't at least 50k HP, she's like not even built, right? So make sure you use this as a bit of a marker, a bit of a baseline to see a high quality stuff. I'm just joking. I just make fun of other people that aren't at 50k because for some godforsaken reason, I got a shit ton of HP rolls. So that's what she's looking like. She's also going to be S0 and of course have her signature like most units on the account. Now let's take a look at Cartithia's partner in crime. We got Chakona. And this Chakona build, ladies and gentlemen, is kind of unethical. It's kind of illegal. And honestly, I could use a little bit more ER. She's also S0, but I have her sequence node for reasons. Let's look at the build. She's going to have this crit damage, Remini, Fleur-de-Lis. It's a 4 out of 5. Some could even say, because Chakona does basic attacks, it could be considered a 5 out of 5. This one's pretty cracked. We're now going to have a 4 out of 5. Capitaneous, Giga Chad, ready to go. Attack, liberation, crit rate, crit damage. And then we got an arrow damage. Rage against the statue. Also another 4 out of 5. ER, crit rate, crit damage, and attack. Then we got our Sagittario. ER, crit damage, crit rate. And then our Electro Drake. Crit damage, crit rate, ER. So yeah, really low ER rolls on a lot of the pieces. That has unfortunately kind of bricked my Chakona at like 124. Wish at least a couple of these were like 10%, but it is what it is. I might actually be able to make the ER a little bit higher at the sacrifice of some other stats, but I don't really care that much. She's looking fine. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at... I know a lot of people are excited for this one. Let's take a look at my Zoni. This is what my Zoni is looking like. She's S0. She has her weapon. Let's take a look at the build. So we got a nice 4 out of 5 spectral damage bonus on our Capitaneous over here. The only thing bad about this one is the crit damage is kind of dog shit. This one is a very middling Morning Ikes. It's got no... I mean, it's technically a 4 out of 5 because Zoni does a bit of liberation damage, but I wish there was like an attack or something in here. And the crit damage is really low. Good 4 out of 5. Pretty good. Most would say almost amazing, actually. 4 out of 5 on this spectral damage Abyssal Mercator. And then we got another pretty whopping contribution over here on the crit rate and the crit damage side for a Headless Chop Chop. 9.4, 9.3, 16.2. And then for our last piece, crit rate and crit damage, and then a bunch of other damage types. Wish there was some more attack. But yeah, the Zoni build is like okay. It's not like the craziest thing ever, but I wouldn't say it's like the worst thing ever. We still have a decent amount of heavy attack, 25.9, and a decent amount of liberation too. And in combat with the Shorekeeper, I think this goes to about 84% or something like that crit rate, so it is pretty reliable. Now, we've got our next unit. Yeah, she's a bit of a work in progress at the moment. So, when it comes to my sub DPSs, I do something where I share a lot of the pieces that are on the account. like a lot of the pieces. And for Canerella, I don't actually run her on Midnight Veil most of the time. I do actually run her on a coordinated attack set. And the unfortunate part is that I'm still in the middle of, like, rolling a Hecate. I will at some point, but this is kind of like the best that I got right now. You can tell that I don't really use this unit that often because, well, I kind of like build her halfway because I don't really feel like she's the most fun to play. So I actually don't use the Flova team very often because I don't like playing this unit. I feel like I'm having a seizure whenever I use her heavy attack and then start, you know, going into the alternative Mirage form. It's a little bit rough. But let's just go ahead and see the pieces that I do have available. I've got two sort of builds for her. I've got a Midnight Veil that's like in the middle of getting built. And I've got, like, decent pieces to go alongside it, but I haven't really felt the need to actually put it into practice, and so I ended up using the pieces on for Flova. But going back to Empyrene, we got this. We're also going to have... Where is it over here? I think I'll run this one. I typically run the 4 cost, naturally, right? Then I run an attack 3 cost, so like, I can share this with as many units on the account as possible. Then I got my 1... elemental or attribute damage type havoc damage bonus over here that has pretty good stats. And then I run 2 1 cost over here. And I think I can give her a better 1 cost actually on Empyrene Anthem. So I'll just do that. There we go. And yeah, now her stats are looking a bit better, but we definitely have way too much ER. So, a lot of work that can be done for this Canerella. She's also got her weapon, so this is kind of like my passion project that I should be working on in the background that I actually don't have a lot of passion for, so I just haven't been working on it at all. So, yeah, that's that one. Canerella's over with. She's S0. Let's move on. Now, ladies and gentlemen.
To which stage will life guide us next?
This is where we're going to enter the Twilight Zone. This is where you're going to look at my Echo rolls and you're going to ask, check him PC. This is a dev account because this is, in my opinion, the best built Brandt on the server. I don't think there's a better Brandt than this one, ladies and gentlemen. So let's go ahead. Let's break this bad boy down and see what he has in store. Dragon of Dirge. Crit rate, 10.5%, 15% crit damage, 8.4% ER, and 9.4% attack. Chop, chop, ER, 3 cost. Basic attack damage, 9.9% crit rate, 18.6% crit damage, 8.4% ER. Fusion damage bonus, 3 cost. Minimum crit rate, maximum attack, maximum ER, pretty good crit damage. And then for the 1 cost, ER, really high crit damage, really high crit rate. And then, my best Echo I've ever rolled, because I was desperate to get another 4 out of 5 on Brandt. Basic attack damage, crit damage, ER, crit rate, they're all super high. And the end result, ladies and gentlemen, when you combine it with his signature, he's also an S0. His build is a little bit unethical. But this is the thing. You might be like, oh, say, you're not maxing it out. You're not going to 280% ER. Your build is trash. Well, this is what I got to share for you, ladies and gentlemen. I've got another one. I can just go again. And it actually has better stats. Yep, I got a build where I'm at 285% ER when I use them in Lupa teams. And now we're at almost 90% crit rate in the character selection menu. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. This is why I'm telling you. 90% 240 might actually be the best built Brandt in the space. And I would like to see if there are any competitors when it comes to this matter. So yeah, that's what our Brandt is looking like over here. And as you can tell, I put a lot of tuners into building this guy. I built a lot of tubes. And what I'll tell you firsthand is that this character, without a doubt, did in fact break my account. Building him and Rosia was the reason why I was in a tuner shortage for about 5 months. Because I had a lot of them heading into building Brandt and Rosia. And then afterwards, I had none of them. So yeah, I still consider those two to be the hardest built characters in the game. And don't worry. Wait until you see the builds that I have on them. All right, now we got Phoebe. This one is a little bit questionable because, let's be honest, if you have a Zoni, you're not really using Phoebe as like a main DPS anymore. And so this is just the build that I run with her. We got Luminous him. We got all of that going on. And then I just run her on a very basic Moonlit Cloud set. I mean, it's not a bad set either, though. That's the thing. The set is actually, like, it's got decent subs on it. But this is why I can safely say the character does no fucking damage when she's in confession mode. Because, well, I have her on a pretty damaging overall set, but she doesn't do anything. And so that's why I always tell people, you can just have her on, like, the most random shit ever. You could just run her on ER3 costs. The difference will be her liberation doing 15k damage versus it doing 30k damage. The end result is that it deals no damage. And that's just the reality of the situation over here. So, yeah, she's on a supportive set. It is what it is. And I just give her a combination of Zoni pieces if I ever want to play her as a main DPS. But I'm just going to be honest. I don't even like playing this character as a main DPS. She feels kind of clunky. But that's that. We can check out the build for her later. I don't really feel like it because I think nobody even plays her as a DPS anymore. Now, let's move on to Rosia. And this is where stuff's going to get a little bit crazy. Because if you thought my Brandt build was good, well, prepare to temper your expectations. Because now we have also what is likely the best Rosia on the server as well. She is incredibly, disgustingly well built. And the problem is that I hate this character and I never play her. I hate playing as her. I hate how she gets interrupted from a light breeze because I don't have her S1. So I never actually use this unit. And the thing is, I also have her signature because I felt like I had to pull it because her build was so good. Let me show you the build that led to this entire situation. We've got our first 4 costs on the build. Heavy attack, AER, crit damage, crit rate. Yeah, basically the perfect combination of stats for her, but the rolls are kind of low. Then you look at this. 10.5% crit rate, 10.9% heavy attack, and then crit damage. Then we got this bad boy. Crit damage, heavy attack, 9.3% crit rate, and then 7.9% attack. Guys, there are people using 4-year-old Twitch accounts and then renaming themselves. And this is becoming a daily occurrence. That's, that's a little weird, brother. Hey, that's a little weird, brother. You genuinely have a certified mental freak hater? Absolutely. Anyways, getting back to the Rosia build. Really high crit damage, really high crit rate, heavy attack, and attack. You can't really ask for too much more from this other than an ER roll. That's where these pieces are going to come in. Yeah, do I need to say more? Yeah, do I need to say more about this one cost? Mid-roll. The only mid-roll on here is the crit damage. But I'm happy as hell with everything else. And now for the last piece. It's actually just like barely okay. Now that I think about it, this one isn't really even that amazing. Did I move some pieces around? Oh, yeah, that one's better. Oh, wait, no, that one's better. Oh, wait, no, this one's better. Yeah, there we go. Okay, the build just improved, actually. There we go. So, the Rosia is now 74.6% crit rate, 283.8% crit damage, and 130% ER. Oh, she also has 35.2% heavy attack damage. So that's another thing that she has. And if you know how this character works, you need around 70% crit rate at a baseline to fully activate her buff. But getting high crit damage, high crit rate, and 130 ER on this unit is one of the hardest challenges I've ever seen in roster building before. And so anyone that has better stats than this, reach out to me. Send me the photo, because otherwise you are 1,000,000% just fucking lying. I genuinely do think the Fool's Troop, at least on my account, they're the best built Fool's Troop on the goddamn server. So yeah, feel free to prove me wrong on that. Now it's time for us to move on. All right, last thing. No sequence nodes on these 2 units. Now let's get to the unit that I actually do have sequence nodes on. And that is, of course, going to be my Carla. And one thing to be fair about when it comes to Carla, she's also going to be one of the most well-built characters on my account. But the thing is, I found this character's gameplay to be so brain dead and easy that I got extra copies of her when I was pulling her the first time. I just decided to get her up to S4. I've exhausted my 2 dupes from the shop. We might just get her to S6 at some point. But the idea is we got an R1 weapon. Let's check out the build. So, we got a crit damage Sentry Construct over here with a nice 8.7. Resonant skill damage, flat attack, and crit damage over here. I run crit damage because I use her with Shorekeeper, and her S1 gives 12.5% crit rate. So, she's actually at like 80% in combat. For her Glacial damage bonus, 3 cost, well, you already know. Yeah, you already know. Mid Echoes? Yeah, sure. I think most people wouldn't call this one mid, but, you know. This, however, is a mid-echo. And the only reason why I'm using this one is because it has ER. I only have one ER roll on the build because I couldn't find the budget to find any ER elsewhere. That's because the rest of the pieces, ladies and gentlemen, they're kind of good too. We got a 4 out of 5 over here with attack, crit damage, and crit rate. Almost max rolls on this bad boy. And then for this one, we're going to have Resident Skill, best in slot crit rate, and then a pretty decent crit damage on top of it. So, yeah, these 3 pieces could do some work. But the thing is, when it comes to the Frosty Resolve set, ladies and gentlemen, I've actually got a lot of alternatives that I'm just waiting for the opportunity to use. But with my Carlotta dealing so much damage at, like, S4, it's just, I haven't really found a reason to farm for her set much more. So that's kind of like one of the other cons of pulling sequence nodes is that you don't really feel like you need to improve their echoes that much anymore. And that's kind of where we're at. So I'm just like waiting for an opportunity to use these bad boys. It'll happen eventually. But yeah, she deals around 600, 700k with her Liberation final shot. Pretty fun time. Now let's move on. We got our Chameleia. Her build's okay. It's pretty good. We got 2.5k attack. Let's take a look at the echoes. We got a Nightmare Crown list over here with crit damage, basic attack, and crit rate, 6.9%. We got a Havoc damage bonus over here with, honestly, this one is cracked. This one is actually pretty damn cracked. Close to max crit rate, good crit damage, basic attack, and ER. And then we got an attack 3-cost Roseshroom over here because 1 attack 3-cost is actually optimal on Chameleia, right? And this one's going to give crit rate, attack, and then crit damage. It is what it is. Now we got a Havoc Warrior. And this guy I'm using for one reason. It's because he has ER. I actually have like a better Havoc Warrior just sitting on standby. But the unfortunate part is that I really need this ER for this character to work properly. So I'm using like a suboptimal one just for that purpose. It sucks, but it is what it is. And then for my last piece, I could definitely work on some of my 1.0 character sets. It could be better, right? It could have some more offensive substats, but we do have a fair number of relatively high crit rate rolls, which allows the Chameleia to get close to 70%. But I'm going to be real, she's kind of unusable without Shorekeeper because I miss almost everything at about 68%. So yeah, that's her. She works fine in all the content right now, having a lot of fun with her. Now let's move on. We got our Shangly Yao. Unfortunately, Augusta's taking all his fucking pieces. So let me go revise that real fast. All right, so he's going to be sharing pieces with Augusta. This is what the build's looking like. Pretty good overall, but he's got way too much ER. Let's take a look at how he's also got a signature. So does Chameleia. She's also S0. He's also S0. If you want like a bit of a teaser, she's the only character that I have more than one sequence node on my account. Now let's take a look at the Shangly Yao build. This is a piece of dog shit. I'm just going to be honest with you. I rolled 1 Nightmare Thundering Nephis, and I got this, and I just haven't rolled anymore. But this is undeniably not a good piece. It is like barely above it's basically like a double crit min roll, and then everything else doesn't do anything. So yeah, this is bad. But we're following up on it with another set of min rolls, except this time, this one's a 4 out of 5 min roll. So it's slightly better, but as you already saw, I already have too much ER. So it's basically a 3 out of 5, and it's all min rolls. Now, this is where stuff starts getting interesting. This is where stuff starts getting a little bit good. This is the same Electro 3 cost that we saw on Augusta. It's still really fucking good. No matter, it'll work on any Electro DPS, assuming that they can use a 2-piece at minimum. And then, of course, we've got the same exact Arrow Predator. And this guy is also really, really, really good. Doesn't have the damage type, but it's a light of attack. And then for our last one, this is like if this guy was just slightly worse in every way. I'm not complaining about it, though. This Echo is just this Echo, but this one's slightly worse in every single way. It is what it is, but it gets the job done. And the end result, hey, his build is pretty good. We could optimize the substats a bit more, but I'm pretty happy with how he's crumbled out. But he has a lot of minerals. Now let's move on. We're slowly getting to release day. We got our G-Jaw, and as you can see, she's kind of Don't mind her. We're just putting her clothes on real fast. This is what the G-Jaw is looking like on Empyrene Anthem. And we're going to see the same sort of, like, build sharing going on that we had for Canerella. Except the pieces are just way better on here. Basic attack, crit rate, crit damage. We got the same Nocturnus Knight over here. We got a pretty decent, I would say pretty damn good glacial damage Chop Chop with that 21%. And then the whole really good roll over here on the Hocus Pocus. And then, of course, missing a crit rate roll, but because we're on String Master, it doesn't matter. Volt, Scourge, Stalker. So yeah, that's what she's looking like. And yeah, this is the one character that I think I don't have her signature on, because I think Jeja's signature is literally the worst one in the game. I think it is legitimately the worst signature in the game, and I don't recommend anybody pulls it. And so I'll follow my own advice and not actually pull it. Now, it's time to get into 1.2. We've only got 4 characters left, ladies and gentlemen.
Plan with convention, then conquer by ingenuity.
We've got our Changley. And as you can see, she's got absolutely nothing. That's because, unfortunately, I need to go put her fucking gear back on. Okay. Okay, alright. Well, I guess you're seeing the pieces firsthand. This is the Nightmare Glizzy Rider. They're kind of bad. Their rolls are really, really, really low. This was also another instance where I just, like, farmed the Nightmare Echo really fast, got double crit, and then just moved on. However, her other Echoes are pretty good. First and foremost, we've got these, okay? Crit rate, crit damage, flat attack, liberation, resident skill. This is basically a 5 out of 5 on Changley because she actually does a shit ton of liberation damage. I think it should be highlighted for her if I'm frankly being honest. And then over here, we're going to have crit rate, crit damage, attack percentage, and then resident skill. This one looks pretty solid too, doesn't it? I know, it looks great. And now this is where stuff gets a little bit spicy. Oh, yeah. Now you're shutting the fuck up, aren't you? Now you're shutting the fuck up about the quality of the Echoes, aren't you? She's got a good build, motherfuckers. Check that out. Boom. 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 2 solid pieces, rounding out the 1-cost squad. And that's what Changley's looking like. She's also going to be S0, and she will have, of course, the skin. Now for another 1.1 character with the skin, it's time to take a look at our Jansy. And I'm going to be honest, my Jansy has some issues. I should probably get a better build for her, but you might understand once you see what she's got equipped. Both her and Changley are going to have her signatures. Jansy's also going to be S0. Let's take a look at our Echoes. We got a WuWa over here, and this WuWa is, it's a little okay, right? It's got minimum roll crit damage, but it does have high crit rate, and it also has resonant skill damage and flat attack. It's pretty good. I like the 9.3. Then we got a Light Crusher with, unfortunately, another 12.6, but we've got resonant skill and crit rate and also the same flat attack. And then we got this bad boy. An attack auto puppet scout 3 cost with resonant skill, crit damage, crit rate, and then attack percentage. And would you look at that, motherfucker? Oh no. Looks like all of Saints 1.0 units have a god tier Echo. Because I would say most people would consider this one to be a god tier Echo. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Havoc Prism over here is absolutely crushing it with this lineup. And now we got the other side of the equation over here. We got our 1 min roll Martin crit rate roll. Remember, the other ones are all like pretty damn high. And this is, while this is bringing the quality of the build down, it is also another 4 out of 5, and it's got the resonant skill. So the problem with my Jansy is pretty simple. She doesn't have enough ER to use her liberation once every other rotation, and that causes some issues with the, well, the flow of combat. So I need to get like 10% more ER on her. We'll do it eventually, but I would say her build is looking pretty solid regardless of that. But without the 120, I do feel it in combat. And now we got Yinland, and this one over here is going to be a little bit rough for one specific reason, because I really hate using this character. So I've actually got like 2 builds for her. I've got one build where I just take the Jeja set if I'm using Empyrene, and then I just replace the Echoes with like electro damage ones. I also have a Moonlit Cloud set, but I'm gonna be real over here. This unit is so suck, it doesn't matter. You could like, the difference between her being built and not built and the team's DPS is like almost non-existent, because her liberation is literally dealing like 50,000 damage. If you thought Phoebe in confession mode didn't do that much damage, just wait until you use Yinland's liberation. Enjoy your 7k ticks, brother man. Enjoy your 7 ticks of 7k damage. 50k, awesome, amazing. It's not that good. We'll just know that she has... Jeja does more than her with a similar build. And now, let's talk about the real highlight of the show, ladies and gentlemen. The real Giga Gamer. We got our Gian. And let me just be honest with you when I tell you this. Brother's build is crazy. His build is crazy because we put effort into building high-tier units. And Gian is without a doubt a high-tier unit. Let's look at it. Boom! The rolls are kind of bad over here, but it's got all the stats that he wants. We got the attack. We got the ER. We got the crit damage, and we got the crit rate. Kind of low rolls, but it's a 4 out of 5. Now, just hold your horses. Now we got an arrow damage bonus, Carapace. Attack, middle of the road crit rate, middle of the road crit damage. Pretty good. Looks pretty good overall, right? 4 out of 5. Now get ready for this. Get ready for your socks to be blown off. Max crit damage roll, minimum crit rate roll, but then heavy attack and ER. And then over here, low crit rate, low crit damage again, but then a whopping 12.4% ER and then 7.1% heavy attack. And now for the last piece. Are you ready for this last piece, ladies and gentlemen? Hey, we got the best for last. We got the best for last. This was going to make y'all real jealous. This is going to make y'all real jealous. And this is why you guys keep making fun of my Gian. Because you don't have this piece. Yeah, get jealous. Get jealous. This one's pretty good too. 21, 8.7. 8.6 heavy attack. So, yeah. You can see the quality of the builds on this account, they're all relatively high. And I would say the only areas where it's a little bit iffy are naturally, I would say these 3 sub-DPS characters. But that's because they're typically on sets that are like shared. They're on sets where, you know, I like run an attack 3 cost. I don't really care that much about what my sub-DPSs are doing because they're such a small portion of the team's overall DPS. And when it comes to like my main damage dealers though, well, they are looking pretty damn good. And I wanted to just do a short demonstration, a bit of a quick demo for just what some of these teams are capable of in some of the end game modes. So what better way to do that than to just mosey ourselves on over to the Tower of Adversity and, you know, maybe do a little demo or two. Though you do see this, you do see me do this pretty much every single week, every single time there's a new reset anyways. But, I mean, why not just get into some gameplay ourselves? So first things first, ladies and gentlemen, you already know what we're about to use, right? You already know what we're about to use. Shall we do it? What if I told you that a well-built Gian can get under a 2-minute clear? What if I told you a well-built Gian can get under a 2-minute clear, ladies and gentlemen? How would that make you feel? Using his 1.0 team or his 1.x team, how would that make you feel? Keep that thought in your mind because that is what you are about to see today. Let's do this, ladies and gentlemen. Boom! Why is bro 400 feet away from me? That might bleed into the clear, ladies and gentlemen. My apologies. That one might bleed into the clear. My apologies. That Carapace got a little bit far from me. Does anyone have a reason for why my Gian is like 400 feet away from the enemy? You got a minute left? No, we're trying to get it under 30. That's the thing. We're trying to get it under a certain time limit. I said with, oh no, why'd it do that? Oh no! Oh no! Bro did it again! So, this is some dog shit RNG. But, yeah, we've been able to get this clip. Alright. There's no way that dickhead actually backed away 3 fucking times in a row. That actually pissed me off. Wait, there's no way he did that 3 times in a row. It's never fucking done that before. It's never done that shit before. Anyways, that's just like an example of how you can clearly see that 1.x units, depending on their builds, right, are still having a pretty easy time in the content. And I think like just the main overview for me when it comes to this account is no matter what gameplay demonstrations I do, there are always going to be critiques. They're always going to be like, oh, his builds are crazy. Oh, his builds are insane. You've seen that the quality of my 2.x units, my 2.x characters, right? My Zonis, my Cantarella, or not my Cantarellas, my Frolovas, my Unos, my Augustas. Those builds are way better than the builds that you saw for all of my older units. And that's just a testament to how much easier echo farming has become, how much easier it is for characters to be built with, you know, all the different modifiers, all of that have been in the game. But in reality, I think that Kuro Games has done a good job of balancing the end game where, honestly, sometimes I feel like I want to go back and use the older units for a refresher, some older units for some of the gameplay because, well, I mean, they're still completely viable. And so you've seen all the builds, you've seen all the quality, you've seen, you know, everything that's going on over here. You've already checked out all my gameplay, but just wanted to throw in a nice little fun one for the boys over here. But naturally, you can see that some units are undeniably showing some of their age. But yeah, I'm still having fun with the game, still having fun with the accounts. The main fun that I have is character building, but I just wish there was, wow, that's a nice loading screen. That's actually a really nice loading screen. Wait, why is this like the first time I've seen this one? This is a new one for sure. I just wish there were places to actually use them. Oh, I didn't even... I almost forgot this event was there. Because I just conditioned myself not to look at this menu during the patch. I just wish there were more places to use them. Because I've got like 20 relatively well-built units that are collecting dust at the moment. So yeah, that'll be that for this one, ladies and gentlemen. This review, let me know what you all thought. Peace.